Hi, doctor and everyone. Welcome back from holiday. To kick off our week, let us start with our presentation from Group 2, Ban Smoking in Malaysia. This presentation is structured as follows, and before we dive into the topic, let us all watch.
พี่ขอไฟหน่อยพี่ขอไฟหน่อยหนูดูดเองจริงเหรอ
ไม่ได้หรอกมั้งอายุยังน้อยอยู่
เป็นมะเร็งเนี่ยต้องไปเจาะคอไม่กลัวหมอผ่าตัดแล้วน้อง
บุหรี่มันมียาพิษอยู่นะ
มันทำให้หน้าเหี่ยวด้วยนะ
สูบบุหรี่แล้วก็ตายเร็วไม่อยากอยู่เล่นนานๆหรอ
มันไม่ดีรู้เปล่าสูบแล้วเป็นทั้งมะเร็งปอดถุงลมโป่งพอง
ไม่ดีแล้วพี่ดูดทำไมล่ะคะ
So how do you find the video, everyone? As for me, the phrases "you worry about me, but why not about yourself" went straight to my heart. Hence, my first point concerns of our future generation, as according to the National Health and Morbidity Survey (NHMS 2019), it is estimated that 4.9 million Malaysians aged 15 years and older currently smoke. And breaking down into gender, compared to just 1% of women, it is equal to 35 men who puff for every female smoker, indicating that smoking is predominantly a male problem. Imagine if we break down the statistic into household, how many of every first child role models, a father is a smoker. We already know that smoking causes disease like cancer, heart disease, stroke, lung diseases, diabetes, and chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. But let me highlight a fact that smoking is also a known cause of erectile dysfunction in men. Concerning this issue, and as government have sought for years to tackle smoking in Malaysia with little success, thus it is time to take an even more radical step to create a smoke-free country by introducing law to ban smoking for people born after 2005 as a generational endgame for smoking. A little throwback, the bill related was first raised in February 2022. There had been concern that the proposed law might be, among others, unconstitutional as it meant that the youth would have no freedom of choice over smoking. However, recently, the current Health Minister, Dr. Zaliha Mustafa, said she was hoping to fine-tune the bill, which aimed to create a smoke-free generation, starting with those born after Jan 1st, 2007. Before Dewan Rakyat sits for the first time in 2023, which will take place in March. But first, she said she would need to be briefed by the ministry officer and stakeholder on the proposed law. With a new bill proposed, let us revisit the current legislation related to tobacco control. In Malaysia, tobacco control is regulated under the Food Act of 1983. These regulations have been amended several times related to smoke-free environment, tobacco advertising, promotion, sponsorship, and tobacco packaging and labeling. The latest amendment of Control of Tobacco Regulation 2018 comes with additional 5 notices, which are Declaration of Non-Smoking Area 2011, 2012, 2014, 2012 PUB 313, and 2015. And as a result of this amendment, there are 23 places where smoking is prohibited. Former Health Minister has clarified that this ban will include vaping and shisha unless they contain no nicotine, because our legal definition of smoking reads as inhaling and expelling the smoke or vapor of any tobacco product and includes the holding of or control over any ignited, heated, or vaporized tobacco product. The area of a place prohibited mentioned also include the surrounding area of the place within its border and a distance of 3 meters from any permanent roof connected to the main building. Offender can be fined up to Rm 10,000 or be imprisoned for up to 2 years if proven guilty under this amendment. Therefore, since the no smoking ban has been fully enforced in 2020, the question to ask is, are the current regulation works? The picture attached in the slide will give you a brief idea of how we should structure and amend the regulation if the new bill is being approved.
Smoking is very common these days. Teenagers begin to treat it as a trend, while smokers happen to normalize this behavior. Little do they know when the time comes they need to reap the harvest. Smoking community is being so thoughtless that they are not aware of the consequences of their smoking behavior to their own health, to the society, to the economy, and even to the country. Evidently, smoking does more harm than good. Hence, the impact of smoking should be recognized and acknowledged by everybody. Cigarettes contain many harmful substances such as carbon monoxide, ammonia, arsenic, tar, formaldehyde, methanol, and nicotine. Nicotine is the toxic chemical that causes the release of pleasure-inducing chemicals, and it alters the synapse formation and affects the brain region that regulates learning and attention. When someone stops smoking, the brain regulates nicotine hunger, and that's why it causes an addiction. However, the pleasure is not permanent until we realize that smoking is one of the major causes of death. In the United States, smoking causes more than 480,000 fatalities annually. It is almost one death for every five. According to the CDC, smoking damages almost all of the body organs. Smokers who fail to quit lose an average of 10 years from overall life expectancy compared to non-smokers, and they begin to suffer from age-related medical conditions about 10 years earlier. Smoking increases the risk of developing chronic diseases such as cancer, heart disease, stroke, lung diseases, diabetes, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, tuberculosis, several eye conditions, and also immune system problems such as rheumatoid arthritis. Besides that, smoking lowers fertility in both men and women. During pregnancy, it affects the development of the fetus, raises the risk of complications such as miscarriage, neonatal mortality, and respiratory disease in the offspring. It may also act as a contributing factor to the offspring's mental health issues. Nowadays, however, many supporters claim that e-cigarettes are safe. They have been advertised as less harmful options to conventional tobacco cigarettes. The idea that e-cigarettes are safe has been strongly supported by aggressive marketing strategies, and regretfully, wrong information spreads like wildfire. E-cigarettes, in a real sense, are far from harmless. The majority of hazardous chemicals that are typically present in tobacco cigarettes are present in e-cigarette solutions and aerosol as well. And expanding research indicates that using e-cigarettes may also increase the risk of cardiovascular disease and mortality. And according to the CDC, increasing cases of EVALI were reported. EVALI stands for e-cigarette or vaping use associated lung injury. Also, currently, there is little evidence on the significant impact of vaping on cancer, but caution must be taken for a long-term effect. Yet, it is still unknown how effective e-cigarettes will be in helping people to quit smoking, because it is very worrying because majority of smokers do not stop using the tobacco cigarettes, but at the end of the day, they switch to become dual users. Everybody has right for clean air. Smoking gives discomfort to others, and the smoke is very unpleasant and can cause coughing when inhaled. Also, smoke exposure reported to have detrimental impacts on maternal and fetal health due to nicotine's adverse impact on the brain development and its diffusion into fetal blood, breast milk, and amniotic fluid. Study has also shown that the short-term effects of secondhand smoke exposure in children include a significant increase in the risk of respiratory infections, a worsening of asthma, and a slowing of lung growth. For your information, an estimated 20,000 deaths in Malaysia are linked to smoking each year, and approximately 2.9 billion ringgit was spent on treating lung cancer, ischemic heart disease, and COPD. These three disorders were linked to smoking. The amount represented 16.5% of the total national health spending. So smoking has negatively affected the economy of the country in many aspects, especially the high cost of treating related diseases caused by smoking. It can also reduce productivity of workers for frequently being ill, and a loss for the country due to premature death. If the smoking rate among the population in Malaysia could be reduced, then the treating costs and other issues could have been reduced as well.
Because of all these consequences of smoking, government has been taking actions to reduce smoking. total ban on tobacco advertising and promotion, restrictions on smoking in public places, and increasing taxes on tobacco products are examples of actions that have been taken up until now. Now, Malaysia is on the verge of implementing a new law of ban smoking called Generational Endgame or GEG. The GEG bill was first announced on January 2022 by the former health minister and then tabled in the parliament on July for the first reading and on August for the second reading. Some parliament members wanted the proposed bill to be referred to a parliamentary special select committee for further deliberation so it can be enforced in 2025. The GEG bill aims to create a generation free of smoking by banning the use, possession, and sale of cigarettes and vape products for those born after 2007. Actually, it included those who born after 2005 in its first draft because it was supposed to be implemented in 2023, so they will be under age 18 when the law is enforced. GEG prohibits those covered by the ban from consuming, smoking, or possession of any form of smoking products, including cigarettes, cigars, loose tobacco, snus tobacco, heated tobacco products, and electronic cigarettes. Whoever does not obey the law from this group will pay a fine of 500 ringgit. Also, shopkeepers and cigarette vendors are prohibited from selling tobacco products and smoking devices to those who are covered by the ban. Who fail to do so from them will pay a fine of up to 20,000 ringgit or 1 year's jail or both. The GEG bill is expected to reduce the number of smokers in Malaysia to below 5% by 2040. Also, it will protect youth from addiction to tobacco products, reduce the number of new smokers until there will be no more smokers in Malaysia. All this will result in an improvement in health, social, economic aspects in Malaysia. On the other hand, it is expected to make smoking more desirable because banning something will make it more desirable. Also increase illegal trade of tobacco products and use of illicit cigarettes, which are cheaper and easy available, increase smuggling and decrease revenue for the government as illegal products evade taxes, increase unemployment as tobacco companies will suffer a loss of business. These pros and cons which are expected from the implementation of the law have led to rise of supporters and opposers for the law.
We will now be looking into bodies that will play a significant role in ensuring the smooth implementation of the Generational Endgame Bill and organizations that support its implementation. Keep in mind that there is a limited information regarding its implementation for now, as the Control of Tobacco Product and Smoking Bill 2022 is still in its revising stage and only went through first and second reading in Dewan Rakyat on 27 July and 1st August 2022 respectively. This is where the Ministry of Health plays a large role in its implementation. The bill must first be passed in order to actually be able to make changes. MOH must seek cooperation and reach out not only to the public but also the stakeholders that involved in the tobacco and vape industry. This will allow the ministry to take into account during the amendment of the bill and ensure that all parties affected will be able to make a smooth transition when the bill is in effect. And the ministry also have to take into account for youth and individuals who are affected by the bill that is already under the influence of nicotine by easing them into the transition, such as expanding the function and effectiveness of clinic berhenti merokok without penalizing them. Next, Malaysia Communications and Multimedia Commission (MCMC), which is under the parent agency of Ministry of Communications and Multimedia (KKMM) plays a role by relentlessly promoting and raise awareness on the bill and also the dangers of smoking. The Ministry of Health will also be seeking help from the MCMC to monitor and take action on the sale of tobacco and vape products online after the bill passes. Moving on to the Jabatan Kastam Diraja Malaysia (JKDM), with parent agency Ministry of Finance Malaysia, it is predicted that the banning of smoking and vaping for those who are born on 2007 and above will increase the flooding of illicit tobacco products from the neighboring countries. JKDM plays a role which is important to prevent this from happening by tightening goods border control and ensuring that lawful seizure is done on the selling of illegal products. Finally, Polisi Raja Malaysia (PDRM) is important on the patrolling and enforcing once the bill is in action. The police force must ensure that the seller and the buyers are complying to the bill. Next, we will be looking on to some of the organization that supports the GEG bill. Malaysian Greenland Society (MGLS) said that a new tobacco bill is due and needed to replace the current regulation in order to decrease the prevalence of smoking, especially among younger generations, in view of that the current law is not as effective in reducing the numbers. Next, a public poll was conducted by the Southeast Asia Tobacco Control Alliance, and it is found that almost 95% of the respondents who are aged 24 and below, which comprises of 89% of them, are smokers and vapers are in support of the bill to end the generational smoking. Finally, the World Heart Federation (WHF) is in favor of the bill by stating that it is in full faith of the Ministry that the GEG policy will have a sensible strategy to protect the future generation from chronic illnesses, and it will be good for long-term investment for the countries.
Moving to generational endgame law opposers and their point of view. The first opposers are Retail and Trade Brand Advocacy Malaysia (RTBAM) and the Confederation of Malaysian Tobacco Manufacturers (CMTM). Even though they are from different sectors, their concerns are approximately the same. On 4th October 2022, RTBAM handed a memorandum opposing the GEG policy. The memorandum contained a petition by Malaysia Bersuara that has garnered over 7,600,000 signatures against the GEG policy. The growing tobacco black market is a major concern for both RTBAM and CMTM. The tobacco black market now controls about 60% of Malaysia's total market, and the government has already lost 25 billion ringgit Malaysia in tax leakage in just 5 years. Therefore, this bill will intensify the prevalence of tobacco black market. Then, they compare Malaysia GEG policy to New Zealand GEG policy. The Malaysian GEG policy encompasses all tobacco, cigarettes, e-cigarettes, and related products and equipment, but New Zealand GEG policy excludes vaping and smokeless tobacco products. Lastly, they stated that public consultation should be included and it must involve groups and individuals at all levels during the GEG policy discussion. Public outrage will occur if the GEG policy was applied by demand and coercion of the government. The second opposite is youth associations, which are Undi 18, Gagasan Belia, and the Federation of Reproductive Health Associations of Malaysia, FRHAM. Firstly, the Undi 18 co-founders stated that those born after 27 already have personal opinions and thoughts. As a result, they propose starting the generational tobacco ban for those born in 2023 onwards. Following that, Gagasan Belia stated that the GEG policy will result in child incarceration. if the violators are unable to pay the fine. They claim that the fine is considered high, especially for the poor. Finally, the chairman of FRHAM remarked that the GEG policy should take into account young people's struggles and stigma. Before prohibiting the next generation from smoking and vaping, the government must address the mental health concerns that lead teenagers and young adults to smoke or vape. The next opposition is from the vaping community, which are the Malaysian Vapers Alliance (MVA), Malaysian Vape Chamber of Commerce (MVCC), and the Vape Consumer Association (VCAM). Aside from the tobacco black market, there is also smuggling of counterfeit vape devices and juices, which has become a big issue for the vaping community. The government has already lost 750 million ringgit Malaysia in tax leakage due to this counterfeit smuggling this year. Then they stated that the Malaysian vaping industry has expanded tremendously and is on the rise since its entry into the Malaysian market. Its estimated value in 2021 is 2.27 billion ringgit Malaysia. Aside from that, the Malaysian vaping industry has contributed significantly to the development of local enterprise. Therefore, the GEG policy will have significant impact on many vape-based local enterprise because selling vaping products will become illegal. Many people will also lose their jobs. Finally, they indicate that vaping could be a suitable alternative to smoking and is less dangerous. Furthermore, Dr. Arifin Fiqi, a doctor with addiction treatment experience, stated that the several studies claim that vape products were significantly less dangerous than cigarettes and more effective in getting smokers to quit. The last opposers are the Malaysian Singapore's Coffee Shop Proprietors General Association (MSCS-PGA) and the Malaysian Indian Restaurant Owners Association (PRIMAS). Their other concerns, which differs from others, is the issue of being asked for identification cards while purchasing tobacco and vaping items. This is because this action will result in conflict and unfavorable situation for the company.
What is the role of communication and multimedia in the ban of smoking? In this era, the media plays an important role in everybody's life. What can the media do to help in this situation? The TV stations play an important role. For instance, they could actually promote awareness by creating advertisements, creative advertisements and interesting advertisements that shows the cons of smoking, for instance, cancer patients. Besides that, they should also be able to do campaigns on non-smoking awareness because the media plays a very important role in everybody's life. Advertisements can be done prior to playing movies, for instance. Besides that, the influencers in Malaysia should also play an important role since they should stop promoting vapes or cigarette brands in their social media. Should be contributing in the awareness of banning cigarettes among youngsters. The Ministry of Education should also play an important role. For instance, have campaigns in schools regarding the dangers of smoking. Not only be done during a degree or diploma level, but it should be started during primary and also secondary school. For instance, just go creative, perhaps create some experiments showing how bad cigarette smoking is. It should be implemented as one of their subjects in their education system.
So, what are the efforts that could be done by the government, community, and ourselves according to our culture, value, and ethics to ensure the passing and success of the GEG bill? As the ruling government in Malaysia, Malaysian government should increase the awareness of the ruling of smoking for Muslim by the Fatwa Committee of National Fatwa Council. This is because the committee had decided that smoking is haram from the point of view of Islam because there is harm in it in 1995. Ministry of Education also could enhance the awareness of smoking and drugs in primary and secondary schools curriculum to ensure their understanding, as has been done to the values of road safety. Ministry of Health and Ministry of Education also could introduce a yearly smoke clinic program for certain identified schools with high case of young smokers. This could be done to provide awareness and treatment of the nicotine addiction from early stage, if any. The government, with Ministry of Communication and Digital, should also increase the awareness on ethical violation of smoking to the community. But is there any ethical issue that been violated as people smokes? Actually, there are several related ethical issues. As a human, we have the right to our life and health. When people are smoking, they will develop into a state of addiction and can't control themselves from smoking. This brings harms to themselves and may develop into various severe health problems. Even if they say it is their right and choice, even if it endangers themselves, they should ethically aware that their action bring harm and danger to people around them, even to their pets, as they also has their rights to life and health, especially baby, young children, and also non-smokers around them. As the ruling government, they ethically should and must avoid harms caused by smoking to continue in the country, especially to the young generation and non-user of smokers. By not doing anything, the government actually is not being ethical. Anyway, aside from the role of government in culture and ethics against the smoking in youngsters and also in promoting GEG bill, family and community members also plays a very important role in value. Family members or elders should be the role model to prevent their youngsters from smoking. They also should always monitor their children, including their friends, activities, and their purchasing, as everything starts at home. They also should always remind their children on the smoking adverse effect to the health. Community also plays an important role in evading youth addiction in smoking. Even though people will say that it looks like they are meddling into other individuals or family affairs, but there also another opinion as it takes a village to raise a child. As the conclusion, it is hoped that this bill gains support from everyone, including the MPs, so that it can be implemented in order to reduce the number of lung and nasopharyngeal health problems and to improve the Malaysians' youth quality of life in the future. And this is our reference for this presentation. Thank you.